All right, it's 12 minutes after 7. We have an early talk this morning. We'll talk about the big conversations, the big issues happening here in our country. We know that tomorrow is June 3. We do not ever want to forget that day. June 3, 2015, it was such a disaster here in our country. So many lives were lost and some things were said. Never would this happen again. Do you feel on the ground that this is something that would never ever happen again? As you may already know, tomorrow exactly a year on after the twin disasters, and we'll bring you a special edition of the AM show from the First African Savings and Loan Bank. We'll also bring you live feed from the June 3 memorial service. So we'll be on the ground to bring you what's happening right there. We've been telling the stories of survivors and victims of this disaster. We're continuing today and tomorrow as well, even as we mark 1 year on after that disaster. Let me just introduce to you my guest, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, is Minister of State in charge of PPP, Public-Private Partnership, also Member of Parliament for One Central. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And the Honourable Osei Bonsuamwise, Member of Parliament for Equiapem South. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah. We want to start with June 3 because today is June 2. Even as parliamentarians, you discuss this issue because this is something that has never happened before. What do you remember on the floor of Parliament after this incident? What did you say to yourselves as parliamentarians?
Well, it was a very sad day. But first of all, our shout of condolences to all the bereaved families and to ourselves, Ghanaians, because it was a very big disaster that hits us on the face. And every Ghanaian was sad seeing our compatriots burnt to death, drowned to death because of an unabated rains that crashed into the city and flooded areas that eventually resulted into the recorded deaths. In Parliament, we all showed our condolences and were surprised about what happened, and were hopeful that it won't happen again. And there was a general feeling of sadness in Parliament. Now that it happened. You know, we used to see those kinds of disasters outside the borders of Ghana. Today they came onto us, and that day it came onto us, and people could not believe they were viewing Ghana when they viewed television and saw all the things that were happening. But it also showed how we as a people handle our environments. The environment is a gift to us by God, and we are bound to take care of it as we go along because it's neutral. It doesn't react. The earth just lies down. The trees are there. The rubbish we throw onto it can only be managed by us. Water will always find its way into the sea at all costs or into the river. So where there is a path where water would pass through, it doesn't matter what kind of modernized system we have, it will look for that path to go. And so we have a duty to take care of our environments. We have a duty to know how to manage our sanitation and not to throw rubbish, garbage everywhere we find them. You know, so it's important that we do two things. We recognize who we are, understand the environment and its behavior, and work ourselves into it by ensuring that we keep it clean and we keep it out of the path or the waterways. And then we don't build on waterways and etc. etc. It all has to do with policy and implementation and enforcement.
All right.
Yeah.
It's good you bring in the issue about policy because even on the floor of Parliament, something happened. We were supposed to start this project that was going to help because it was the drains that had been choked. We put a lot of trash and we're supposed to get this out. The Accra mayor spoke at an event where this particular project, the Conti project, it's been really, really famous. The name has been famous around. A 5-year project divided into different phases was supposed to start. We're supposed to see all the drains, the things in there that's choking the drains out of it. The government of Ghana and the Conti group of companies, I'll just read a bit of what happened, of the United States of America signed $660 million for the commencement of the much anticipated Conti project. The Conti project is a 5-year project to be conducted in 3 different stages, expected to tackle the Accra flooding and some sanitation and environmental challenges bedeviling the city. So at a forum where the AMA boss announced the official commencement of the project, Alfred Oko van der Poy reiterated his commitment to making Accra one of the best cities of the continent. I know that Honorable Obiamwa, you followed through. I remember you raised this issue in Parliament some time back. Where are we with this project that's supposed to prevent what we witnessed last year?
Well, thank you again, and good morning to our viewers. And to Honorable Minister, the man in charge of PPP. Even though, if I'm right, I'm yet to see the policy in Parliament. It's still, as they say, on the drawing board.
A PPP policy?
No, the law is in Parliament.
It's in Parliament now, the bill.
The bill.
I see.
Sorry.
Wait, hang on. So what does it mean? In the absence of a law?
The bill is in Parliament, but we are now working with a directive from Cabinet, which is binding also. The directive is the framework within which the law is modeled. So that's what is being worked on now.
But what difference would the law make?
Don't worry, we'll come to that.
This is the lawyer, so let him handle it.
Let's do the flat first. We'll come to that.
Yeah.
Well, Accra has been prone to floods, and occasionally we get floods which take lives away, destroy property, jolt us to know that indeed we need to do something about the situation. But what happened last year was the worst disaster we could ever come across as far as flooding of Accra is concerned. And indeed, on the floor of Parliament, both sides of the House were unanimous that this was a major disaster and that we needed to be briefed about what had gone on and how to prevent such a situation again. Indeed, it took some time for us to even get the Minister for Local Government to come and tell us about the measures which were put in place and which are to be put in place to avert such monstrous disaster. Tomorrow will be 1 year. Lives have been lost, properties destroyed. I read this morning that maybe as of yesterday, AMA was still paying some families some compensation. 10,000 per family is just token, but we are told that so far about 71 families have been paid 10,000 each as compensation for what happened. For those who died, for those who were critically injured, and for those who lost property, we are giving them 10,000 as compensation. Indeed, the AMA boss says so far they've not even been able to identify about 50 dead persons. So they have not been able to deal with the families. That is what it has come to. But when you read the statement of the AMA boss, I wanted to know the date of that statement.
Okay.
Because I'm aware that in 2012, the so-called Conti project, which is the Accra sewage implementation system,
sanitary, sewer and storm water alleviation project.
Yes, came to Parliament. It was approved in Parliament in 2012.
December.
Before that, I remember very well that the then Minister for Local Government, Honorable Fusampo, and the AMA boss himself held separate press conferences on this Conti project, Come 2013, the president himself went to the site to cut the soil for this project to begin. And then there was even a press release from the U.S. Embassy as to the fact that Ghana had secured over $600 million for us to address the Accra sewage problem, so that at least when it comes to flooding, Accra will never experience it. When the floods occurred, I remember very well I asked an urgent question. After a few hiccups, the Minister for Local Government indeed came to answer the question. The major issue was, one, attempts or measures taken to address the flood situation, not only in Accra, but even in our urban areas and capital cities. And of course, what had happened to the $633 million project with the U.S. company Conti. Well, as we speak, what I can say is that the project is dead. I need to be convinced that the project is still alive. As far as I'm concerned, the project is dead. Why am I saying so? We were supposed to have signed the agreement. Parliament was supposed to approve this, to have approved this in 2012. 2013, the president went to site. He went there to signal the commencement of this major project. Later on, we kept hearing that, oh, we are still waiting for the money. Some external works have been done by local partners, and we're looking for money to even pay those local partners. Until when these floods occurred, and the Minister of Local Government came to the floor of the House. If indeed, when the Deputy Minister answered the question, they were throwing it back to Works and Housing. And Works and Housing was throwing it back to Finance. Eventually, the Minister was asked to bring a supplementary answer to the question. And the answer he provided, which I have a copy, was that they were still repackaging the loan. That was last year. And that hopefully, the answer was in July, and that hopefully by September, they will have finished repackaging the loan. As we speak, we haven't heard anything about it. That's why I'm saying that for the 633 million project, the so-called Conti project, probably we have to look for other funding to start all over again. As far as I'm concerned, we haven't made any progress since 2012. Indeed, if you look at the Common Fund Administrator's report, we are now looking for bits and pieces of money to dredge the Odo River, whereas we wait for the big money, which never seems to be coming. So if you ask me about the Conti project, that's what I know. They are in government.
No, Dr. Papo, do you have a feeling that even in Accra, this flooding situation would never occur? I mean, we see it in bits and pieces in places. I mean, take the Circle area alone, for instance.
Well, when it happened, when the flood happened, we saw a complete commitment by government to respond to the challenge. And immediately we saw a deployment of machinery that was tackling the issue. And we saw a number of drainages being drained, but that was a temporary measure, and we thought that we could fund the project. We should secure some money to do a more comprehensive coverage of Accra in terms of redesigning the drainage and making sure the internal works that will carry water to the sea would be done. And it was a reason the Conti project came into view. But as we are saying, getting a project on and getting it started has a lot of processes we need to follow. And because I'm not so familiar with the project, it's not possible for me to go into the details. But indeed, it is true that parliamentarians were anxious to know the details, and what we were told was that it was in the process. We're in the process of getting the money and getting all the necessary documentations done. Now, to secure money like that will either come as a grant or come as a loan. If it comes as a loan, it has its own processes that we have to follow. If it comes as a grant, it's the same thing. So and it's not a guarantee that once you secure such a loan, a particular company has to do it. It also has to go through some processes. But maybe it's still important for us to seek answers to the project. But as a person coming from government, it is our commitment to make sure Accra never goes through that same.
But when it rains,
trauma.
we see
Bits and pieces
Yeah.
of, the reason being that you cannot completely avoid water being held in places, because water falls, and when it falls, it has to find its level to be able to escape. And before it escapes, there are some places, of course, that even in Europe and America, you have it happen. In Texas, a very clean place. If you go to Texas, you see all the perfect work being done in all the cities, but Texas is flooded as I'm talking to you. So there is an inevitability in water finding a space for itself whenever there's a downpour. But that being said, it doesn't give us an excuse at all not to tackle the Accra drainage system, to make it completely, at least do what we can to avoid the situation where
But are we doing all that we can? Do you see that we are actually committed to doing?
Yeah, I think so. I think we are committed to doing so. And I've seen that even without the loan or the county money coming to us, there's so much work that was done by the military and by the local government itself, had deployed a lot of machinery, a lot of equipment into working at it, and so much work is done. And I know that at one point, people were even asking why a particular contractor was doing all the work, and why was there a contract between him and local government.
You'll be referring to Ibrahim Muhammad then?
Yes, and
engineers and planners.
Engineers and planners, and they did so much work. In fact, when the thing happened, until the 6 months following, he was at site and working. And I had a private conversation with him, and he said, well, all this money we are talking about, he's willing to go the extra length in spending his own money, resources, if only the machinery were given to him. He has the engineers, he has the people, they will definitely work on it. By the time the work is done, the contract is given, what was going to be done will not be as big as we were imagining, because we can't wait to go through the process and another rain will fall, another flood will come, another disaster will occur. No, I mean, if we have people like that who are committed to saving the situation even before a bigger
and you know the criticisms that came with that. It wasn't open. How do you do a private arrangement with an individual? Can anybody get that opportunity? These were the things that came up, after that.
I'm saying that I'm aware of all the criticisms that came up, and I said this was an individual contractor or a person who came to the show and doing what he wanted, what he could do to save the situation. There were criticisms about it, but he committed himself in doing what was necessary. The same person, when a house collapsed in cantonments, and then nobody was showing up.
Well, I don't want us to get a person. This discussion is about an individual.
No, I just want to show how somebody can react to
Honorable Minister.
A reaction to
the major issue is that if you look at our planning in Accra, if you look at sanitation situation in Accra, if you look at drainage system in Accra, settlements, urban planning and everything, you shouldn't be a professor or a magician to know that we are just waiting for disaster to happen. And we only pray the way things are going. We only pray and always pray that the kind of downfall that we experienced last year will never happen again. If it happens again, I'm afraid we're going to face the same disaster. Because nothing much has changed. Old Fadama, fine. People were displaced. Structures were demolished. we were told that we're going to have a comprehensive demolition plan. The minister told us in Parliament. And that even when we were crying how they were going to settle these people, we were assured of a comprehensive program towards decongesting Accra and towards putting in place very cogent policies and measures to avert this. As we speak, with all due respect, we don't see this. As for engineers and planners, it was equipment from local government that we approved in Parliament. That the local government felt that they only had the expertise to use the equipment, so they should go and dredge, which we disputed and which we dispute up to now. But the major issue is that what concrete steps have we put in place? The AMA boss, now I don't hear much about him because he's campaigning to.
There was a press conference he organized yesterday.
Yes. Yeah. But before then, were you hearing anything about him? Now he's campaigning to be a member of Parliament. It appears all his attention is to secure a seat somewhere in Accra here. But the major issue is that 1 year on, what kind of progress have we made?
Let me bring this angle of this conversation. The National Disaster Management Organization has bemoaned the continuing presence of the conditions that resulted in the major flooding disaster of Ghana's capital on June 3, 2015. National Coordinator of NADMO, Brigadier General Francis Vip Zanzirin, said the presence of these factors, namely the absence of good drainage systems and the presence of filling stations or fuel stations sited on the waterways, means the capital must brace up for more flooding in the future. This is not encouraging. And if you watch the video, he gives an example of the fuel station at Malam, which is still sitting there. He gives, the environment minister went around,
yes,
and that's it. What happened? Dr. Pelpo.
I think that some of the times we would need to examine the statements made by those who have made them to give further particulars.
Okay, so I'm going to call on Patrick Gomez to get General Francis Vip Zanziris interview ready. We're going to play it and then we'll continue.
Yeah. He wants better particulars.
Better and further particulars, yes. He's been talking about this issue. If we can have it now, Patrick.
Well, that itself is cash-strapped.
Yeah.
That's number one.
Okay, so let's just watch this conversation.
Last year, the Odo River was silted. The Kole Lagoon was equally silted and jammed with waste. And all this prevented the free flow of water into the sea. We have so many drains. The Nima drain, Accra Academy drains, Malam Junction drain. These are all drains that are not having the free flow. If you go to Malam Junction, there is a filling station that has blocked the river. Total filling station. Accra Academy, there is supposed to be a major drain under the road at First Light. That major drain, which even though it exists, is not connected to the main water course that is coming in front of Accra Academy. So with all these things I'm citing, not well connected and silted, there is no way we will have a free flow of water to the sea. And those areas are always flooded because of these reasons I've assigned. So come to think of it, floods can come. But our ultimate objective will always be that when they come and go, we should save lives. Nobody should be affected. And how can we do that? We can only do this. We can't prevent the floods. We can only mitigate the effects of the floods.
Is that what NADMO is supposed to do?
Yes, NADMO, our objective is not to, we cannot prevent floods. We can mitigate the effects.
So the disaster must take place before?
No, mitigating the effects doesn't mean you should wait for the disaster to come. Mitigating the effects of the flood could be getting in If we have early warning of an impending downpour, and we are able to caution the people in those flood-prone areas that this is going to happen and we're likely to have floods, move out of the area, we will save lives. You don't have to wait till the disaster comes, the water floods the place before you move in. You move out, caution the people, assist them to move out of the area into a safe haven before the floods get in.
There you have it. That's the NADMO boss, Brigadier General Francis Vib Sanzer, and his comments brings up some issues. NADMO is not responsible for preventing floods, but even the emergency plan, when it happens, where do we take you? Where's the holding place? What happens to you? So many things that comes out of this. And I just want us to move forward from this. We haven't learned any lessons, have we? Because do we see the lessons we've learned show on the ground? Dr. Pelpo, do we? Or Honorable Obiamo?
Well, watching your footage and from other networks, we haven't learned our lesson. It's not only the authorities, but we, even as individuals. Because you still find people throwing garbage into open drains, choking the system. But as I always say, if it's good to have a society with high morals, it's good to hear people preaching about morality. But before due respect, in all humility, the laws must work. If your legal system is not working, you may have 1,000 churches in one location. Your system will break down. Now people get up and build anyhow. No planning. And what are the city and planning authorities doing? People cite containers everywhere. The best you can see is stop work, produce permits. But the project goes on. You find kiosks here, container here, barbering shop here, cited all over. And if most are not properly cited or along waterways, we will not only lose property, but we will lose lives. But what is the deterrent? We pay our taxes, we pay levies, they impose all the monies that you can think of. The city authorities. Is it that the whole arrangement is too huge for them? And if it's huge, how are we planning to break it down? So, on our side as individuals, we don't seem to have learned anything. We don't seem to have learned anything because the system is not working. And those who are supposed to make the system work, I'm a politician, I agree. But we talk more than we deliver. We talk more than we deliver.
So who's supposed to be delivering?
Those who have been put in charge to deliver are those who are supposed to deliver.
Dr. Pelpo.
Yeah, I agree with him. 90% of the challenges we face is because individuals, private citizens, are not responding to the challenge we are facing. And you still go to the markets between the morning when they start and the evening when the market closes. You go and see, and it's like a flood of garbage everywhere. So they are waiting for somebody to come and clean it up. It doesn't show that we are committed to ensuring that we don't have these kinds of repeated challenges of choked gutters.
But fortunately, we have the laws. We just need the people we've put in charge
to
use the law to handle the situation.
Yes, so I'm saying that because of our conduct, that's one aspect of it. The other aspect is enforcement, which I also still agree with him. You know, enforcement is very, very crucial. Human beings would not do the right thing until they are made to be aware of the possible consequences of doing the wrong thing. In other words, people must be policed. That's why the systems are there. And if we look away, they do the wrong thing. So every single time, it's important that we put in place systems that can put people on their toes, that can enforce the laws when they are broken. There is a segment of society that doesn't need it. An enlightened group of people that would not need it because they're already bred to respect society, to respect the environment, and to do the right things. There's a larger chunk of society that needs to be given policing, and that needs to be instructed sometimes. So there is a two-way affair, which is one about the enforcement, two about our own conduct, which is necessary for us to have a comprehensive address, a comprehensive approach to the environment.
For those of us who sit back and hear people in places, ministers, and so take actions.
Highest places.
You find environment minister, for instance, call media persons, moved from one fuel station to the other, say that this is not where this is cited as wrong. And one time shuts one down, and then we go on and nothing happens for a very long time. Something happens, and ministers come together or people in authority come together and they come and console the family, and it's just like it's become like a lifestyle for us. Something happens, we come together, then we say the things we say in a nice way, some few compensations here and there, and then we go back to sleep.
When the AMA decides that it's going to clean up Accra and take people off the streets where they are shopping, and then to give way to vehicles and to give way to easy movements and breaking kiosks and to allow water flow and things, you hear the hue and cry.
Yeah, but we are not the leaders.
And
he is.
And then the political undertones about it, the blame of government as an insensitive organization, an organic body, and et cetera, et cetera. There is a certain feeling, an endemic feeling in the Ghanaian that we cannot enforce a law that will hurt the feeling of people.
But that's why we are all not in government.
And that's why
somebody has to make the perspective of what the people say.
Government is not different from the people. You see, government responds to the demands of the people.
But we cannot all be governing.
You give the mandate to the people, and you tell the people. You give the mandate to the government, and you want to keep the mandate, and that's the challenge we are facing.
So if you're doing the right thing, and we think you're doing the wrong thing, we're not privy to what you know. You're saying that because the rest of the people feel that you're doing the wrong thing, you stop doing the right thing?
No. I'm giving you a scenario, a situation where when somebody wants to do the right thing, AMA wants to do something that is right, everybody, go and see the newspapers, enlighten people, all of them criticizing, political people speaking and condemning it and saying they are doing the wrong thing, they are hurting people. The media will not come to the rescue of the AMA. He's there alone, suffering and struggling to keep his job, and eventually he gives up. The citizens' pressure is so huge on individuals who want to do the right thing. We need to all come out and say, look, this is what we want, do it, and we cheer him up, and then he will do it. And that's something we can't avoid.
AMA doesn't operate in isolation. One, the assembly is under a ministry. Two, the ministry is under government. The reality is that, as I said, we have all the fine policies and the plans. The problem is implementation.
Isn't Parliament also failing us? Because you're representatives of the people.
There's a point to which Parliament can operate. You call the ministry, you have oversight responsibility, you make all the noise, you ask the right questions, they give you answers. But implementation, one, they will tell you lack of funding. Two, they will tell you lack of equipment. You may take Accra is huge enough, but even in our districts, the planning authorities there will tell you they don't even have a vehicle to move to inspect structures which are coming up. And you can't believe it. Where are our priorities? My attitude is that we see the wrong thing happening as authorities. We allow them to happen. Then we look for money to demolish what has happened. If people knew that if I cite a container here this morning, by afternoon, it would have been lifted away. Nobody will invest in a container in the first place, and nobody will put that container at the wrong place. But the thing stays there for years. You go and put there, stop work, remove, so and so for years, and disaster happens. Then we start running helter-skelter.
So, Honorable, we should be moving away from you politicians then, because you're all the same.
No, not necessarily. The reality is that, of course, it's not only in our situation. You put us in office to solve problems. And it's not for us to come back lamenting to you that we are helpless, that we can't solve the problems. So your issue then is right to say that, then why have we put you there? But there's a limit to which you can lump us together. I have to oversee what they are doing, and they come with excuses.
I don't know how much resources the committees in Parliament have, but I feel that they should be doing a lot more than they're doing, because you can go round, you can visit and tour. Ours is to talk. If you remember when the last year's flash, some of us, we spoke and spoke even on the floor of the house. We came tug of war. But at the end of the day, the government in power has that responsibility to make sure that what it has promised to deliver, with the support of Parliament, coming to Parliament that I want this kind of money to implement this project. Come back and tell us stories. Well, this conversation is definitely to be continued. We have to move on.
I'm being very charitable. He's a nice man and gentleman. I don't want to let us spend this morning castigating him too much. But he's from the office of the president. And if he looks that helpless, then poor Mama V, I don't know what you would have to do. Every day I drive around the city, I can count millions of unauthorized searches. What is happening? What is happening? Is it now that we are so helpless that even government itself will have to say that the public pressure to is not allowing us to deliver? Then we are ending up in a lawless society.
You see, these structures, some of them are as old as 20 years, 30 years. There was a government that came and left. They are still there. We have come. They are still there. I mean, nobody can be a saint and pretend that we can come and do it. You know, the same structures, as soon as you begin picking the shops from the streets, yeah, you are killing people's jobs, you are throwing people out of school and out of their houses, because that's their livelihood.
But should that be your concern?
I'm saying that
the implication is much bigger than what we see today.
No, look, it's very easy for government to take that decision. It's easy for us to make sure these things are cleared out of the road sides and unauthorized places.
So just do it.
Yeah, we can. Government can do it. Their government could do it. They didn't do it. We could do it.
Isn't that why perhaps you came?
I'm saying that
whenever they say that,
the mandate
I tell them that during our time there was no WhatsApp. There's WhatsApp. 10 years matter here. So
the mandate you hold from the people. That's what I said. They give it to you. They still want it back. They still want to hold it. They'll tell you the limits you can go. My MCE in Wa did some demolition, tried to create space for water and all that. Today, they are still holding the thing against him. People cannot forgive him for that. In instances, all the decisions people take, you sometimes have to come back and undo them. That is Ghana for you. If you tackle it only from the
so we're not progressing, or
yes, if
we're not going anywhere.
We're not progressing. We are retrogressing.
If you tackle it from the point of
if this is
the
solution
alone, we will fail.
Minister,
let us tackle it from every angle.
Minister, if
a collective approach to it.
But if I do the wrong thing, if I put a container in front of my house that I'm not supposed to, in one administration and nothing happens to me, and another administration comes and then the administration says, oh, because you put it there and at the time when the previous administration was in charge and they didn't do anything to you, it shall still be there. Another person, looks at me and says, oh, her container is there, let me also put mine there. And we keep doing like
that. Every household has a kiosk or container before that household.
I think it's
and they're sitting on drainage.
Yes. I'm very happy this thing is coming up. I'm a champion of cleaning up Accra. I'm a champion of cleaning up closing our drainages so we don't have open gutters. I'm a champion of clearing all the people who are in unauthorized ramshackle buildings everywhere in the country.
But you're concerned about criticisms.
So I'm happy that it's now coming up. People are now complaining. And if from here we hear lots of people complaining and saying that government go ahead and do it, I'll be very happy to be part of it. And
would you dare do that with a few months to elections? Me, I'm not hopeful.
Oh no, this year
I'm saying that if we find people saying let's do it, when we start it and they give us a chair, without his people coming on the press conferences and saying, stop this thing about people, there are people, this, that, we will definitely be happy to do it.
But I think the NPP is also, in some instances, doesn't help the situation. Because you find government doing something that is legitimately appropriate for them to do. Then you come and make a promise and say, when we come to government, this won't happen to you.
In the wake of the floods and the demolition, did you hear NPP saying that stop the demolition, or when we come, we will not demolish anything? Did you hear people saying that? We never said that. But what I'm saying is that if there's a structure here, and you are saying that if I remove the structure, there will be a political fallout, what you're doing is to encourage others to put more structures there, and you are compounding the problem.
That's what's happening, actually.
That's what's happening.
Yeah, I think we should.
You see, that is why that's why we pay tax. That's why we put people there. Probably, if for nothing at all these urban areas, the so-called mayors, they should be elected. Me, I in my district, when I go around, the kind of statements people make, sometimes I say that I must as well take that position of district chief executive and add it to MP. Because I seem to be more accountable to the people than the person who has been put there. Because...
Is it because of the difference you are elected?
Certainly.
You want to be re-elected?
Certainly.
So
I'm accountable every day. I have to explain my actions. But if you're there at the pleasure of the chief executive, the commander-in-chief, and even you, what haven't we seen, even in Accra alone or other urban areas?
This is definitely to be continued. Tomorrow is June 3. So, and I think if all of us decide to tell government that this is what it looks like, should we even be telling them what they should be doing? Because we don't know. That's why we're not, running the country. But they want to hear. They need to hear our small voices.
You need to keep.
We need to keep quiet.
I'm saying that
you've taken her money to run the system. She has to keep quiet.
No, what I'm saying is that you don't need to say, government, go ahead and do it. But wait, keep quiet and don't complain when government does it. It's a consent enough for us.
I mean, that's not the job of the media. Whether it's positive or negative, we have a duty to report.
I'm not talking about the media.
Happening.
I'm talking about the general populace. If they are fine with it, we are with it.
Interesting. Let's talk about this issue of the Institute of Economic Affairs.
I thought we would veer into PPP because it's a very sunny area for some of us.
So
every ministry now you hear, we are arranging PPP. As we speak, the average person doesn't even understand the concept. Not the average person. Even those in government running ministries don't understand the concept.
So how about we arrange a time?
Very well.
Because I think I've promised you we'll have a PPP conversation.
Yeah, let's have a PPP conversation.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
I will tell the public what it is, what we have done, why delays are happening, why people talk about PPP and they don't see it happening. There are reasons for all that, and there are good reasons. And I'm
so,
sure
Honorable, you have interest in this conversation?
Very much so.
So let's set a date then. We can do it next week, Thursday, God willing.
If he's not back to work campaigning.
That's the question.
Because I want to lay my hands on this regulation, what is regulating the PPP now in the absence of this law, which is in Parliament.
No, there's a procurement law in the country, and you definitely have to go through the procurement process.
That's okay.
Yeah. If there's a big project like the Atrabo project, it's a PPP project. But it has to, Atrabo port. It has to come through cabinets. It has to go through all the process, and before it is so there is an accountable system of procurement that is in place already. We already have enough laws in place, but the PPP is very specific about build, operate, transfer, design, build, operate, transfer, management.
Okay. We'll get into that. I'm interested in the
what's
subject.
the relationship between your office and the Ministry of Finance?
In
Because the
actual
Ministry of
fact-
Finance has also its own PPP desk.
Yes. In actual fact.
Oh, they have a PPP desk?
Yes.
Which is not, you
Under
know.
you.
No. I'm from the office of the president. I don't implement. Office of the president, you are a minister for the president directly. You don't have a separate budget. You don't have a separate employees who are working on. No. You deal with policy.
Your budget is presidential budget.
The president's budget. You deal with policy. When I speak, I'm speaking for the president. So I deal with policy approvals, allow the thing to happen. You want to clear some things, we get it done for you. So the real implementation will take place at the particular ministry.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll find time for that, God willing. The Institute of Economic Affairs has held ballots for 3 political parties ahead of the much anticipated evening encounters by political party flag bearers who have representatives in Parliament. The evening encounter is an opportunity for the flag bearers to share details of their manifestos to the voting public. Missing from the pack is President John Mahama, the governing National Democratic Congress. The party threatened to boycott activities of the think tank ahead of the 2016 elections, accusing the IEA of bias and failing to consult them on key issues. A meeting was held for 3 political parties representatives Wednesday to discuss the modalities and arrangement for the evening encounters, which is usually a prelude to the presidential debate. Why is the NDC doing this? This happens every election year.
No, not why the NDC is doing this. This is a private organization. IEA is a private organization. There's no law saying that when they are organizing something, you will definitely
Which is
have
correct.
everybody.
You voluntarily do it.
Yeah, so you voluntarily means that you can either do it or not do it. It's not you've not gone against the law in any way. If you decide that I want my people to hear me through IEA forum, or I want it to be heard through a Joy News forum, it's a choice you make. You want to be voted for. You want to take advantage of the forum. If you decide not to take advantage of the forum, it's your business. So I think that it is a decision we are making. If we finally make a decision not to be there, it will be our decision. And I think the Ghanaian public...
Oh, you still haven't made the decision?
The
Are you
Ghanaian
still
public-
contemplating?
The Ghanaian public should respect
We
it.
thought that you had decided.
You just read that we were not there. But no communication has been given to you yet. That's why you are discussing it. Or else you would have said, the NDC said they won't go, and it is true because they have seen them,
They themselves, they are divided.
No, it's not a division.
Are you for the president to take part in this? You work in the office of the president.
I think that the president should be heard anytime he wants to be heard.
What does that mean?
He should take advantage of any platform he has to take advantage of, but he should make a choice as to what platform he wants. It is him who is the person on the spot.
So if you have the opportunity to advise, which you are an advisor, of course, but not in these circumstances, if you were to say to him, take part in this debate or not, what would you say?
I would say, Mr. President, if you are prepared, go ahead. If you think that you don't want it, don't do it.
What kind of advice is this?
Yes.
The choice is yours.
Yes. Yeah.
Listen, we sometimes, I don't know why we end up doing these things to ourselves. We should know that government is separate from party, especially when we are in government. IEA makes a statement. First thing you hear are national party officers responding and taking a position when we haven't even heard from government or the individuals concerned. I think that in this particular matter, the party appears to have decided for the president, who's not only president for a particular party, but president for the whole country. The same thing happened in 2012. The party spoke, no, we are not interested. This is pro-MPP institution, all the noise they could make. The president made a U-turn and said, I'm going for IEA. So I thought the NEC would have learned a lesson from this, and this year would have waited a bit before making such statements. But you hear the national organizer making one statement, Deputy General Secretary making another statement, another Deputy General Secretary comes to say that that is not our position, we are still discussing. And then now they've started. They've gone for ballot. They are nowhere to be found. And I don't know when again they say they are going to decide. But as he himself has said, it's a platform that you running the country, not only for you and your supporters, but for all of us, to come and tell us how they are managing the country.
But is the IEA not dealing with the political parties? They are not dealing with governments.
No, but there's no way a political party can take a decision without getting involved, the person who's supposed to be involved in the whole process. If you say that presidential candidates should come and tell the whole world the plans they have for the country, you can't say that I am national organizer. I'm deciding the president should not go because IE has not shown enough respect. They made an announcement before telling us the details. And then that is the end of it. I'm saying that if a minister for any ministry is supposed to explain to us how he's running that ministry, you cannot sit there as a political party and say that don't go and tell the public how you are running the ministry. Because you as political party, even though you sponsored that candidate to be our minister or our president, the moment he has become a minister or president, he's become a minister or president for all of us. You are not paying him. All of us are paying him. And if he's supposed to account to us, don't take certain decisions that will just tie him and make it more political than what you expect. And I'm saying that the lesson is what happened in 2012. Now we are waiting whether the president will come or will not come. We think that is a platform for us to be able to tell the whole world how this government has impoverished us and mismanaged the country.
In fact, you have no choice. You're in opposition.
I'm sure when we start talking,
platform.
When we start talking, they will create their own IEA platform and respond.
I'll let you have your final say on this. We have to wrap up.
And we are bent on exposing them that they have not run this country very well in every sector.
You're not taking advantage of that, but they will take every advantage of
they have said what he has said for 3-4 years. They have said it. The people of Ghana know that what they are saying is not true.
No, but if you haven't gone for the polls, how the people of Ghana,
they are not responding.
How would you know the people of Ghana?
But let me also say that the IEA platform is not an accountability platform. The president, through the constitution, accounts to the people of Ghana every year at a forum created by the constitution itself. In Parliament when he gives the State of the Nation's address. So he has a forum of accountability. Besides that, he accounts for the people every single time he comes to the nation on television to tell the people what he has done.
It's not interactive.
So interaction at that level, at the IEA forum, is about a political party seeking power from the people, and they want to know your thinking about it. And so they are like a think tank that will, on behalf of the people, create a situation where you can be questioned and you can respond as to why you want power. I decide to take it or not to take it, because I can decide to create a forum for myself. I can decide to go through that forum. So if we get somebody in that forum spewing out lies about us or inaccuracies about us or inadequacies, we will respond adequately.
You will organize your own forum and respond.
You can always create a forum yourself, or you can have another forum. I understand the EC is going to create a forum. We can go there and respond.
The NCCE is planning.
Yeah, the NCCE rather is planning, and we can go there
and respond to what the opposition has said at the IEA platform.
Anywhere else, not just there. Anywhere else they make any allegations against us.
Interesting.
We can always create a forum to respond. In fact,
true statements
we have
not
the wider forum than the opposition.
All right.
Yeah, so
we
don't blame them.
We wait to see what happens.
In a sense,
but having said that,
in a sense, you say that they don't need IEA.
Having said that, I
just
cannot
like you
say
may not need
IEA
multimedia.
Having said that, let me just say that IEA is a think tank I respect a lot in this country, and will encourage them to be apolitical, to make sure that...
But they're not?
No, to make sure that anybody who may have said something that creates a feeling that other people are not being treated well should be addressed.
Okay.
Because it's a very important platform.
If for nothing
I respect
at all,
it, and I want it to continue.
If for nothing at all, they got a minister out of IEA. If for nothing at all. The person was a moderator at the last IEA debate, ended up as Minister for Education in your government now.
Oh, he had been contemplated long ago.
If for nothing at all.
All right.
You got the minister out of
I
IEA.
take it that the NDC is not going to allow the president to take part, but they will be monitoring as a party and they will respond adequately. They will organize their own forum and then respond.
Good luck.
We
But
thank you for your time
they
here
should
today.
not dare to join midstream. Otherwise, we will not be interested. You have sat down, we've gone to ballot. We are supposed to bring our individual manifestos. When it comes to the debate, be careful you don't jump in and say, "As for the debate, I'm ready." Go and organize your own debate with yourself.
That's why these are the reasons some people suspect that there's a link between them. Why are you speaking for IEA? Let them decide.
I'm speaking for my party.
No,
I'm not speaking for IEA. I'm saying that if you are...
Why are you speaking for them?
No,
We have to
you don't
end our
have a right to also say that I will not
conversation
debate you.
You can say that.
Yes.
But don't say don't
So
join. We don't
yes.
want you to
Dr.
join.
Rashid Felpo
Don't
is
join.
the Minister in charge of PPP and also the Member of Parliament for Wa Central. Your constituencies watch the show. And also Honourable Obi Amwa, who is a Member of Parliament for Ekuapem South. His constituencies also watch the show. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
May I ask you, do you believe in witches?
Witches? Mm-hmm. I've never thought of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think.
Honourable.
I hear about them, but
Okay. I'll ask
I
for you
don't
to take
believe-
a
But
seat.
they used to
and
be
watch
there,
the
but now
next
nobody is
They
talking
have
about
come.
witches.
no, they have witches come. So it means that
They used to be there, but now nobody is talking about them.
Okay, you won't believe who I'm talking witches with. Uncle White. It will be interesting. Stay right there. Thank you so much for being here.
They now exist.